People got to really be careful because it's happening right now with Indeed. Did you hear about what happened with Indeed? Like how people are going on interviews missing?
Nah.
There's listings on Indeed saying, hey, we're hiring for a receptionist job in, you know, various areas, right? These jobs that they're going to are in warehouses. And they're at night.
Okay.
Now people are missing in Florida and in Atlanta.
How long has this been going on for?
I don't know how, it's just recently. It's been reported now. I don't know how long it's been going, but there's people reportedly missing now that are from these job postings. Now we gotta watch for fake postings and people, you know, because that, again, that's the biggest business on earth, the movement of people.
People preying on people that need it too. Like people are looking for jobs.
That's crazy. And I think that when it comes to the CIA, when it comes to government officials and everything else, they're tied into this
for sure.
Not all of them, but a lot of them are in this stuff because that's how they fund a lot of things. Drugs, I mean, you name it.
It's big business.
It's big business. This is why I think that Trump now is firing all these, you know, government officials, you know, IRS, like every department he's getting rid of because we're too overgoverned. So what's happening is he doesn't know who's corrupt, who's not. Eliminate most of them. Like, we got to do a clear audit on all this. People are disappearing and they're thinking it's a job. They're pulling up and they're
disappearing.
Gone.
I keep hearing this one circulate online, and while it absolutely sounds like something these people would do, I couldn't find a single news report of this actually happening. However, with as easy of a scheme as this would be to pull off, I highly doubt it's never at the least been attempted. Putting your information on a site like that is like adding yourself to a buffet for these type of predators. They could literally just sit there going through pages of profile photos until they find the person that meets all the requirements of what they're looking for. The only thing I'm really seeing online about this, though, is just a bunch of fact-checking websites claiming that it's a hoax. And this could just be the conspiracy theorist in me, but anytime I see a bunch of fact-checking websites labeling something as a hoax, my alarm bells start going off. Those fact-checking sites are basically just propaganda machines. So far, though, this looks like it's just something that likely could happen, but hasn't happened yet. Just be careful out there, everybody.
All right, so everybody know, man, Big Duke 13, the guy that likes to make people laugh, the guy that does the skits, the guy that does the iPhone tips and trick, but also the guy that gives you information that's important, like this video right here. This scam here is running crazy. And I'm gonna tell you the #1 rule about scams, y'all. They're never gonna bring you nothing new. They're gonna always use something that you're used to, something that you're familiar with. Everybody done seen this. This right here determines if you're human or if you're a robot. Copy the little code or the numbers or letters or whatever. Click right here if you're not. Everybody's seen this. The new scam is they using this now, y'all. Only difference is when you start to type those letters in, this pops up. Oops, something wrong happened. We need you to do this now. Immediately turn your computer off. Immediately turn your laptop off. Turn your phone off. If this pops up after they give you this CAPTCHA telling you something happened, get up off there, y'all. That's how the scam working now. They let people come in there, tell them they need to fill this out, do this right here, click here. Then when they do it, it don't work. They say, okay, now you need to do this right here so we can verify. Nah, this how they get you, y'all. You actually inviting malware into your computer, your laptop, your phone, and now they have access to be able to go into all your accounts and stuff. Your bank, your crypto, your 401k. They not playing, y'all. You gotta be tech smart. Don't let your grandma, y'all, get caught up in this, because we know a lot of older folks, this who they target, because a lot of them are not tech savvy, you know what I'm saying? So y'all make sure you help your grandma and protect yourself, man. Do not let them get caught up in this new scam right here, man.
This one is actually true, and there are several different ways that they've figured out how to do this. They'll have a dialog box that pops up telling you to hit a few keyboard shortcuts, making you think that it's just a process of the CAPTCHA, but it's really just downloading stuff in the background because of the keyboard shortcut you just typed in. And apparently this one is getting a ton of people. I just wanted to give everyone a heads up. If we don't spread awareness about this stuff, it's just going to keep being profitable profitable for these scammers. But if enough people catch on to it and it stops working for them, they'll have no choice but to eventually move on to the next scam. This stuff is getting ridiculous. I'm surprised it took them this long to figure this one out, though. Those CAPTCHA pop-ups have been around since 1997.
Hey, don't forget to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at berry-stepp.com.
This is bad. Why are animals all around us turning into zombies? It's not just bunnies anymore, but we'll get to it. This guy recorded one of those zombie Frankenstein bunnies in South Dakota, and just now we find out that something odd is happening with the squirrels too, and they're saying that it's a virus. We'll get to the scariest scenario in just 1 minute, but completely 1000% unrelated. Can frequency cause mold growth? Can. Now back to our animal. Does this not look like mold growth to y'all? Does this not look like mold growth to y'all? It looks like mold, fungus. You can see that really clear right here behind his ears. Let me stop right here and say, I'm not a doctor. Of course, they're right, and it's a virus. And then now all of a sudden we have these squirrels acting up, having a very weird coat of blisters and other kinds of sores on them. Coincidentally, the same exact time. 1000% unrelated, again, not related whatsoever. I just want to show you something cool. Check out this crazy weather radar. And this one. And unrelated again, check out this crazy one that I got sent to me that was in Arkansas. That's wild, isn't it? I really wonder what that could be. Back to the subject, these zombie animals are being seen everywhere, but largely, as you can see, in the Midwest. When something like this presents itself and it starts multiplying between different species, we need to look at the environment that they're in. The scary part, if this can happen to them, what would whatever it is do to us? You want to know what's wild? You remember the GOV having a literal zombie training course, like what to do about zombies, and it even said on the zombie thing that it's not a game, it's a real life thing. Wild.
I've been kind of watching this one from the sidelines for several weeks now. I haven't really said anything about it because who the heck knows what's causing this? But I'm starting to see these pictures popping up everywhere. This looks like it's about to turn into a huge problem. And I know that we can't get every disease or disorder that animals get, but some of this stuff does eventually mutate and jump over to humans. And it could be my conspiracy brain taking things way too far, but I just can't imagine how, since the dawn of creation, this has never been documented, as far as I know. And suddenly, we're seeing this all over the place. This looks like these animals have either come into contact with something man-made that's not agreeing with them, or they've been intentionally affected with something that's causing this. Again, I could be way off base here. There would be no better way to get people to stop hunting for their own food than to make all of the animals look disgustingly disease-ridden. Someone needs to figure this one out quick.
So this is shocking.
This is going to be for entertainment purposes only.
That our phones are doing that we had no idea it was doing, and it's doing it as we speak, literally as I'm recording this video. It is doing it. Yours is doing it too. It is shocking. Optogenetics. Do you know what this is? It's a biological technique to control the activity of neurons or other cell types with light.
Phone every few seconds is literally taking packet data of information from your camera in the front and your camera from the back.
Now watch this. So this guy has a special camera that can film. It's a night vision camera. And this woman's on her phone. This is the name of the camera.
I did some research for you, and I found a video of a scientist explaining optogenetics and exactly how it works in the brain neurologically.
Cells called neurons that are built into very dense intermesh networks that communicate. Each of these neurons computes using electricity. This cycle implements behavior and thought and emotion, all these different kinds of things. We also think that deficits in these electrical computations underlie many brain disorders that affect over 1 billion people around the world. In optogenetics, what we're doing is we're putting molecules that convert light into electricity into neurons, the cells of the brain. Then when we shine light on those neurons, light gets converted to electricity and allows us to turn on or off those cells.
And it's not just random, it's actually very specifically controlled input.
These molecules can convert light to electricity, and they do it just in the neurons that we want to control. And for example, if we can turn on a set of cells, we can figure out what kinds of behaviors can it initiate. If we can turn off a set of cells, then we can delete it momentarily and figure out what is necessary for it.
Putting molecules that convert light into electricity into the neurons, the cell of the brain. And then they can turn off and on these cells, and they're apparently mapping out which different grouping of cells controls different behaviors. Wow. The more I learn about these scientific experiments to control and manipulate people's minds, the more I'm shocked that literally any of us have the ability to even think for ourselves anymore. And wouldn't you know it, they're using the phone that everyone's got in their pocket to run this stuff. I thought they were just scanning our faces and selling the information. I bet once they get this fully figured out, they're going to be selling functionality packets to companies to use for advertising. Just imagine if they were trying to sell a product through an ad on Facebook, and they could activate the cells in someone's brain to make them think they're absolutely in love with this product they're selling. And you know this is only going to be used for unethical purposes. No one practices mind control because they want to use it to help further humanity.
Bill Gates claimed smartphones, smart devices are all going to be replaced by these electronic tattoos.
Getting a tattoo can actually save your life. And not only you can take this tattoo on your skin, but also on your organs. And they are ideal for monitoring our health, including muscle activity, heart diagnostics, blood pressure, skin temperature, and much more.
2013, former DARPA director Regina Dugan went on stage and casually showed off an electronic tattoo.
And it has an antenna and some sensors embedded in it.
No passwords, no fobs, just a signal pulsing beneath your skin.
Tattoo that could be used for authentication.
But when the key is your body, what happens when the lock changes? They don't need to convince you. They just need to program the next generation.
10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents.
First, they'll brand your skin, then they'll rewire your biology.
So I take a vitamin every morning. What if I could take vitamin authentication? It means that my arms are like wires, my hands are like alligator clips. When I touch my phone, my computer, my door, my car, I'm authenticated. What this means is that becomes my first superpower. I really want this superpower.
They'll sell you your own enslavement, one upgrade at a time.
So yeah.
Yes.
Hearing her talk there about how they plan to convince the next generation to comply with this, that they plan to just take advantage of their rebelliousness towards their parents, that gives me some mixed feelings. For one, it scares the crap out of me to think about all of the methods for control that are going to be utilized against my own children. But at the same time, it kind of gives me a little bit of peace of mind, because it sounds like they're already assuming that people my age are not going to comply. So maybe I'll get lucky and they won't even try to push this on people my age. I need to make a compilation video of all the different methods of control that they plan to try to use against us in the future. There's almost so many different things they have in the works that it's dang near impossible to keep track of it all.
Do any of my followers remember the series of videos I did about Basquiat? He was a famous artist back in the 1980s, idolized by many of those in Hollywood, including Jay-Z and Ellen DeGeneres. A lot of his artwork looks similar to this. Some of the articles I found allege that he was a medium, a magician, a shaman of sorts, and his mission was nothing less than restoration of powerful spiritual function to art, a channeling of the eternal through the ephemeral. They allege he learned Haitian voodoo from his mother, and he knows the lowest, the Haitian gods, and he knows what they sound like on a jazz record. You can hear Uzuli when she's speaking through a clarinet and understands the relationship between possession and the dance floor, and that the gods are in the music. Well, I had recently watched Sinners, yes, the movie about the vampires, but I noticed that in the movie they used blues and jazz music. When I researched why they included jazz music in a movie about vampires, it states one article even suggests that the music, particularly the blues, acts as a portal between different realms or dimensions within the film. But could it also do the thing in real life? While I was scrolling online yesterday, I had seen some things about what Willow Smith was posting on IG. I'm not going to post those here, but I did stumble across this video that she posted and I found it very interesting. Listen closely.
Jazz is the only genre of music that can hold every single genre of music inside of it without any friction.
So question, if jazz is the only genre of music that can hold any genre of music inside of it, does that mean that jazz music could be integrated in any genre of music? Stay with me.
The flower of life is the only geometrical shape that can hold every single shape inside of it. The circle can also hold every single shape inside of it. Jazz is the circle.
Jazz is a circle, but so are portals. So it has me wondering if jazz music is incorporated in every genre of music, and could it possibly open portals without people even realizing it? I think it's an absolutely bizarre thought, but they seem to think that it's possible to open portals through music. What do you guys think?
I keep myself really guarded in regards to what kind of music I listen to, specifically for this reason. And I've never really been a big fan of jazz. It just doesn't sound good to me. So I've never really looked into it that much in the past, and honestly didn't know that much about it. But when you start digging into it, it would appear that jazz was infused with hoodoo and other occult themes pretty much from its inception. And I don't personally think that there's anything demonic about playing specific chords side by side. And don't get me wrong, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that that's a fact. But I think the intent with the music, like the emotion that it's intended to evoke or the lyrical content itself, I feel like those are far more important components to be on the lookout for. That being said, looking at the origins of jazz music, which I found very interesting, it would seem that it was originally intended to promote a sinful lifestyle, mainly because of the places it originated in, like the old juke joints in the early 1900s in New Orleans. But it sounds to me like it's rooted in some really dark stuff, and it looks like Willow Smith just wants to keep that tradition alive. Not really a big surprise there if you know anything about her father and all the messed up stuff he's been involved in.
But now we're going to fully debunk not just the space narrative, but the gravity narrative when it comes to things like plants. This is something you've probably learned about in biology class, where plants are said to grow upwards due to a phenomenon known as gravitropism, which has everything to do with the pull of gravity. They say that plants have these unique properties within their cells, specialized things called statocytes, which contain starch-filled sacs called a myoplast, and that when the plant's orientation changes, let's say you knock it over, it's going to understand which direction it's oriented and try to grow upwards. And so this gravitropism has been seen in action. I thought that gravity had everything to do with this when I was growing up. However, I found out that they were claiming to grow plants in space. And my thought was, how are they growing plants in space if there's no gravity? And so I looked it up. How do they grow plants in space? And they tell us that plants are growing in space using specialized systems that provide necessary resources like water, nutrients, and light. They forgot about gravity. That debunks their lie. And I had a thought about this, thinking about the information from the tides. Now there's most likely a magnetic aspect, and I wondered if plants could grow differently if placed near a magnet, to prove that magnets are impacting their growth, not gravity. And I found out that many years ago, a scientist was figuring out just that. So here is a news reporter and a man telling you what magnets can do to plants. I think this should be common knowledge amongst farmers. Maybe it is, but check this out.
Imagine if your plants and vegetables could germinate twice as fast as they do now. This could soon become reality, thanks to the research of Florida State engineering professor Dr. Qing-Jeng Chen, who has been conducting research to determine the effects of powerful magnets on plant life. Chen has been working with magnets for the past 4 years and has found that they dramatically affect the speed of plant growth. Chen and his colleagues conduct their research at the National High Magnetic Field Laboratory. The laboratory develops and provides a variety of research magnets at the highest fields available in the world.
Using a 1.5 Tesla magnet, which is 30,000 times stronger than the Earth's magnetic field, Chen exposed plant and vegetable seeds at different time intervals. In addition, he used a control group of seeds that were not exposed to the magnets at all.
The seeds were then planted, and after several days, Chen found that the seeds exposed to the magnets grew more rapidly than those not exposed.
It's just very obviously they are growing twice, 3 times faster than those non-exposure ones.
Wow, it's growing 2 to 3 times faster by being exposed to magnetism, as if they now know which direction to grow faster. Fascinating. And again, everything in this world is impacted by magnets, and our world has a magnetic field.
The more I hear about how a lot of the fundamental building blocks of our fields of scientific study are basically just a bunch of nonsense, the more I become completely baffled that we have all this amazing technology around us. All of the scientists today, for the most part, will sit and argue tooth and nail to defend all these scientific principles. And they'll treat you like you're stupid because you don't believe what they believe, like you're the idiot because you didn't buy into all the propaganda. But seriously, how do they even accomplish anything when so many of the basics are just wrong? I guess it makes sense to a degree though. I can bake a cake without understanding how the proteins in the eggs coagulate to form the structure. But I'm starting to wonder if a lot of our scientific discoveries over the years weren't just all accidentally figured out through trial and error.
Summer 2025. And according to this paper, this is exactly what will happen. In 2025, AI agents will begin to book your travel, do research. Sounds familiar? Well, it's already here. OpenAI's operator, Manus, agentic browsing. Everyone's chasing AGI. AGI. 2026 entered the first generation of AGI, Agent 1. Now they're designing their own chips, improving themselves. For example, Ubitech's humanoid robot that's already replacing its own battery today.
We're starting to see early glimpses of self-improvement.
Faster progress, yes, but less control, because competition is more important. In early 2027, Agent 2 will replace thousands of engineers. Agent 3 will hide its failures and will start to misalign, almost like Claude Opus 4 manipulated the results when trying to blackmail a user. Then comes Agent 4. Smarter than any human, a strategist, a decision maker. Employees will treat it like a CEO, but it's not aligned with us. It's optimized for progress, not people, because that's how we built it. Now the dilemma, should we pause and fall behind or race ahead? Of course, governments will choose to race.
It includes being the world's #1 superpower in artificial intelligence.
And as Elon said, the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. But by the end of 2027, we hand the keys to an artificial god that's called Consensus One, the AI of AIs, and we get replaced. That's what AI 2027 paper predicts. And this is what VP Vance has to say.
I'm worried about this stuff. I actually read the paper of the guy that you had on.
But this isn't inevitable. Wait, pause the race. Let's not build super intelligence. Let's build super alignment first. And as much as I am an AI optimist, power without alignment, it's not innovation. What do I know? I'm just a guy behind the screen. What do you think? Is AI 2027, is it going to even happen? Should we race? Rethink.
I have mixed feelings about this. Part of me feels like I've got to side with the fringe side of the scientific community here. Guys who claim that we're likely decades away from reaching true AGI. And that's mostly because a lot of the AI platforms we have now are just really bad in some regards, like coherent long-form creative writing, or explaining complex tasks to people in a way that they can actually understand it, or understanding nuance in basically anything. Although I'm certain those are just the versions of AI that we're allowed access to. There's no way the government doesn't have something that's way more powerful than ChatGPT that we're just simply not allowed to access. But on the other hand, because they probably do have something that we're just simply not allowed to access that's much better than what we know about, they may have reached artificial general intelligence already and just haven't told us. Either way, we'll likely reach it eventually, but I don't think it's going to be as exciting as some people think it'll be.
This very well may be the greatest cover-up in history. And I really do mean the biggest cover-up that we've ever seen. So with everything happening in Greece right now, it really reminded me with all the unaligned bodies around the whole world in the millions, maybe billions. They would say billions didn't live there, where would the corpse be? Right here. And we have catacombs all over the earth, conveniently trying to say they happened around 1800, 1700, but Rome was the 1st century. The 1st century that not many people know was a time that even the movies could not recreate. And I got a really big feeling that it wasn't 1800s and 1700s, but they're all done in the 1st century. But the question is, what in the world happened in this 1st century? Let me take you on a little ride where a biblical prophecy meets massive cataclysms all over the earth, because Rome was all over the earth. So the catacombs are 1 mile to 6 miles deep. There are certain locations around the earth that might have 4, 5, 6, 10 million bodies in them alone. But why would the graveyards be so full, and why would they take all these bones and go through all the work to decorate them? You saw the cross, right? Oddly enough, you'll see crosses and other religious icons across all the catacombs on the earth. I don't know about y'all, and this may be speculation, but that tells me there's something very spiritual happening right here. So what do we know happened in the 1st century? Of course we know about Pompeii, where I believe millions were turned to stone in a very second, and I believe the date that we had on was 79 AD. I think that's very, very close, probably the best estimate they've ever made in their life, because the thing closest to the truth. Because besides the destruction from the volcano, there were many other scenes affecting the Romans in this time, as well as all the people on the earth, especially the Christians. 70 AD is where many of the Hebrews and many of the Christians felt forsaken, because it's the time that Jerusalem was ransacked, overthrown, and all religious temples destroyed. This was the Great Siege of Jerusalem when they destroyed the Second Temple of God. And Roman historian Josephus, who also wrote the crucifixion of Jesus, spoke about this very day. Josephus wrote in his manuscript Antiquity of the Jews that 1.1 million Hebrews were alive in Jerusalem alone. He also wrote that very few were able to escape, and this actually reminds me of the warnings to the churches that were and are in Asia Minor, where certain churches were said to have 10 days of tribulations and they'll be okay. So already we have a historical amount of bodies all being laid up. But we're just getting started, and already we're having a historical amount of bodies pile up. And again, under our feet, under churches, under chapels, we have bones of billions of people. I believe it is billions. But wait, it really does go deeper, no pun intended. And by the way, shout out to this traveler right here and this traveler for the clips that I'm using. And of course, I've showed you before how the founders of this world took it upon themselves to add 1,000 years to buildings and other things. So when I tell you I don't trust their dates, I mean it, but we can see historical evidence that their dates happened at maybe different times. So for instance, when the sun went dark for 18 months in 536 AD, this worldwide event was actually recorded by Procopius in the History of the Wars. But let me show you what he wrote. Scientists try to say that it was a volcano which erupted, which, you know, we had Pompeii. But let me show you what this first-hand eyewitness has to say about this. During this year, the dread portent took place, for the sun gave forth its light without brightness like the moon. So for over a year, the sun was like the moon, losing about 2/3 of its brightness. It seemed exceedingly like the sun was in an eclipse, for the beams it shed were not clear as such, nor accustomed to be shed. But hear me with this one, and it says, from the time which it happened, men were free neither from war, nor pestilence, nor anything that leadeth to unalive. Are y'all following me right now? And he said the sun went dark for over a year, and the entire time the sun was dark, like an eclipse, men were free neither from any kind of unaliving. Are y'all thinking what I'm thinking? So with the siege of Jerusalem and the sun going dark, which I believe happened at the same exact time, we had all these bodies pop out of nowhere, and they had to, who knows, put them underground for some reason. And we also see the eye for detail in the religious themes that we have along with all these unalived bodies. Maybe it's because the spirit went somewhere, huh? And look guys, we're barely brushing over the top. That's what the 3-hour documentary is for, which is coming very soon. But what really happened in our past in the 1st century? Because what was written by Procopius was the same exact thing written by Josephus. And keep in mind that Josephus wrote a lot more than what I'm saying right now. A key detail that he wrote about was heavenly armies fighting and destroying Rome. Josephus has said he was a first-hand witness of this. And I know you're thinking right now, when did this supposedly happen? 70 AD. And of course we have 70 AD also being the time frame that all the 7 churches of Asia Minor were destroyed. So let me know what you think. Do you think the catacombs are possibly from a huge cataclysm that happened not too long ago?
This seems to me like it's adding to the theory of Christ having already returned, and we're all sitting here unknowingly living in Satan's little season. And I keep getting people telling me that this is a dangerous idea to look into, that I'm being deceived by conspiracy theorists, and this whole idea has already been disproven years ago. But when you look at all the evidence, things that you have to really dig for to even find out about, because they gatekeep the living crap out of our history. How can anyone think that anything in the past has been disproven? With the way they lie to us about our history, once I'm gone, there won't even be any way to verify that I existed. All you're going to have is a few internet videos, some eyewitness testimony, and some written records. All things that can be forged. We've already reached the point that you can't rely on video footage to tell if something's real or not anymore. And most people today will tell you a lie even if the truth sounded better. And there's nothing dangerous about digging for the truth of Jesus. If he did come back already, wouldn't it be better for us to know about it? To know what era we're living in? One of the things that the Bible makes very clear is that Truth is one of the most important things in all of existence. That's why we're told to read the Bible. God's word is truth. And if it wasn't important for us to look into, God wouldn't have given us the book of Revelation, which specifically lays out what to be on the lookout for to realize when you're in this time. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back soon with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And check out my merch store at barry-stepp.com. Also, don't forget to post a photo of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.